Ovechkin bagged the 890th goal of his career to move closer to Gretzky's mark. Wasn't enough, though, as the Sabres beat the Capitals 8-5. Washington's already clinched a playoff berth. They've got a 7-point lead ahead of Carolina for the Metropolitan Division's top spot. The Hurricanes remain hot. They beat the Islanders 6-4. The Canes with wins in 11 of 13. In overtime, the Senators fell 1-0 at Pittsburgh. Sidney Crosby scored the overtime winner. Tristan Jarry made 31 stops. Utah beat Chicago 5-2. The Jets over the Canucks 3-1. The Canadians doubled up the Panthers 4-2. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Fresh finds and fresh savings. That's SpringFest at Lowe's. Right now, get a free Select Ego 56-volt battery when you buy a Select Ego trimmer, blower, or mower. Plus, get up to 20% off Select Scott's Turf Builder grass seed. Shop these spring deals and more for all your lawn care needs. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 4/2. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. Excludes Alaska.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce.
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
You've heard of smart bombs, smartphones, smart cars, smart watches, and smart glasses. Now you can add smart player, giving you sports gaming strategies and information 24/7. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline. With the two best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching, listen, I don't know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Forget act like you've been there before.
On the SportsGrid Radio Network, SiriusXM Channel 159.
Yes, the best hour of your day now is officially underway. It is a Monday, radio on the SportsGrid Network, SiriusXM Channel 159. Donnie Rightside here. Maybe joined by Kevin Walsh. We never know at this point now. Mondays, a lot of people working extra hours over the. Oh, okay. Now we're back in it. All right. We're logged in. No computer issues that to be said here. Eagles hat on, glasses on. Don't even know if there are corrective lenses in there. Just fashion statement. But it's Kevin Walsh here. Let's go.
Oh, I can't see it. Well, no, I can see without them better than you would think, but
you wear contacts?
I still need them. No, I don't think I can do contacts.
Yeah.
They got to be out at a certain time, and I don't know. The in and out process looks confusing. I don't know. LASIK blows my mind. Did you say you had LASIK, or did I make that up?
I got LASIK in 07. I got LASIK. I couldn't see anything. Played my whole high school career, college career without glasses, squinting at everything like I was Jameis Winston back in the day. Couldn't see a damn thing. Amazing. I was a wide receiver and outfielder at that point, but yeah, life changing in 07 when I did get it. So I've had it for almost 18 years now. Best decision I ever made. Couldn't do it again, but it's the best decision I've ever made.
Now, but why couldn't you do it again? Because of the process?
Yeah, I know what the procedure. Like, I'm the type of guy, contacts, where I had to get the hard lenses when I was in high school, which were almost impossible to try to train your eyes to. And then you would lose one, and then it would take 3 weeks back in the day in the 90s to get something new. And you retrain your eyes again. Couldn't do that there. Wore glasses a lot, like in the classroom, just to see the board. Tried to wear glasses during baseball as a younger kid, with the rec spec type of thing. Just real conky at that point. So just did away with it. And then I used to go again, Philadelphia Eagles games, had to wear glasses every time I went because I couldn't see the field. And then I remember getting the surgery in 07 during the football season. I got, I think maybe in September, October, the first game back where I could not wear my glasses. It was what have I been missing my whole life? This is outrageously awesome. So there it is.
Yeah, I don't think I can do contacts. I should have had glasses earlier on in life. I think I was still I don't know how those will look, right? A little nerdy, all those silly things. Man, I wish I went back and got them sooner, because I think back to, here's the other thing, just you get sat alphabetically, Donnie, in high school, right?
Yep.
Walsh. A lot of times I was sitting in the back
Up in the
row.
back.
Yeah, I mean, we
Back in the
couldn't see a thing.
bathroom.
We couldn't see a thing, man.
Now, is it true, like in Catholic school, since you pay to go, like you can just get away with anything you want and they can't throw you out of school because they want that paycheck? Is that true?
Not from my own experience in terms of behavior, but like you say it, I think around. I mean, people were tossed out, but certain activities certainly, maybe in a stricter situation, you'd be like, no, come on, we can't be dealing with that. So maybe.
There you go. Right from the horse's mouth there. But by the way, from the horse's mouth, what an unbelievable weekend. Unbelievable college basketball, depending on which side you were betting and handicapping on, because yesterday, technically some snooze fests out there. Michigan State did get close, but it really was arm's length the entire way. Houston beat the brakes off of Tennessee yesterday. Crazy defense on to the Final Four. And I was just thinking, Kevin, like next weekend we have all number ones. And we talk about it sometimes, 3-hour college basketball shows, one game, a lot of time to fill. And I really wanted to send a tweet today where like just complete like changing of emotions. Did the NIL really help us to get a better college basketball product? Did it really do that? Like it's going to upset like the mid-majors, which I used to enjoy. Used to bet them a lot. It was always intriguing when they got to the tournament. But now that we're at that like pay-for-play level, same way that we were in COVID, where it was like, well, Big Ten doesn't feel like playing. And I remember saying, and people get angry at me, if just the SEC played, I wouldn't care if the rest of college football just fell off the face of the earth. I just want to watch the best teams and the best players, and that's all I want. And it feels like, Kevin, I'm now getting that in college basketball.
So you're getting it this year because we have all the number ones. Donnie, I asked the people to just stop being so darn lazy in their analysis. NIL. All right, so let's look at the teams. Auburn. Yeah, it's because they ran the team back and they're all 25. That's the reason. That's what's helped Auburn, right? If it was all portal and NIL, they wouldn't have been able to run that team back. They did. What do we also hear? Man, can't do it with freshmen anymore. Well, what's the Duke story? All freshmen. 3 guys that are going to get selected in the lottery. Tyrese Proctor came back from school, never put a jersey on anywhere else. Oh, the portal. Duke got Sion James. Go ahead, lie to me that you know who that kid is before a month ago. Wasn't even a starter. Yeah, Mason Gillis was the big acquisition, Don. He can't even crack the rotation out of Purdue. Okay, so boom, check that box. How about Florida? Yeah, you mean Walter Clayton, who was never staying at Iona? Walter Clayton, who left Iona, though. Why, Donnie? Because their coach left, which is what happens nonstop, NIL or not. Okay, so then what's left? Houston. Yeah. Every single kid on Houston you've been familiar with for it feels like about 7 years. The whole team's Perry Ellis. Juwan Roberts has never missed a Houston game in my entire life. Manny Sharp has been there for ages. Okay, they grabbed LJ Cryer out of Baylor. But again, to me, like looking at this Final Four going, NIL. I don't know what these people are talking about. I have no idea what these people are talking about.
It's not even just the Final Four, though. Like, I don't. Like the evolution of sports fandom does change in people's lives, and sometimes, younger, older. And I always go through this. There was a time in my life, Kevin, I don't know, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade through high school. Bowl games were a really big deal. Hey, Penn State would play in the Holiday Bowl. People were watching it, just had to get excited for it. Hey, Penn State won a bowl game. Just using Penn State as a larger program in the Northeast. And then as we go on decades since there, I think the bowl games are the biggest travesty in college sports. They're meaningless. They're horrible. Nobody wants to play in it, but they put them on for TV because they make money. Understanding that. But now that we sort of went to that 12-team playoff in college football, and we still have to work out the iron out the kinks, I should say. We shouldn't be giving out, right? Like it should be a computer that goes, give me the best 12 teams. I don't care if Boise State went 17-0 next year, didn't play anybody. Oh, but they deserve their place at the table because they're a group. No, nonsense. Just give me the top 12 teams and put them in based on computer rankings, and I love it. Which, again, does away with the exhibition season altogether. But for me as a person, I was like, you know what? I don't think the kids could get paid because the college experience is what it is. You got to sit out. Teams play. No, not anymore. I love the new brand that we're getting now, which I think is going to ensure, once again, hey, you know what's fun? A 1 seed, a 6 seed, a 9 seed, and a 12 seed in the Final Four. No, it's not. It sounds like the lowest rated Final Four in the history of the schools is what it sounds like. You give me all number ones now, which again limits the chance of those 4-year players at the lower schools ruining a chance like upsetting Duke in the round of 32. It's not happening anymore, Kevin. And I love it. I am not afraid to say
had an 11 seed in the Final Four last year. I do not understand. No, they're the same.
Well, who was the 11th seed? Who was the 11th seed?
NC State.
Yeah, but that's still a Power 5 team. Like, I don't want to see George Mason ever make a run again. Like, I want to see big-time programs making runs. That's what I want to see.
But I also imagine, Donnie, if I go back through the archives, the big issue with that George Mason team is they were probably wildly underseeded more than anything else. And like we could have had Gonzaga here, Donnie, as an 8th seed, but they would have been wildly underseeded. I don't know why everyone feels like the reason why we are having this great Final Four is because kids are getting paid. That doesn't even make any sense. It's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard.
You're taking the talent. Like Sturts. Sturts would come back next year like, man, love my school. Like Drake, we're making another run. He's gone. So Drake is done.
Because his coach left. Because his coach left.
Yeah, but he's
not leaving. He would have gone back to Drake.
No, he would not have. No, he would not have. You're getting a couple million bucks to go to another program to play. They're gone. Any player worth his salt, Kevin, from those lower schools should be in the portal every single year, and they're doing it now. And I love it because, again, some people, hey, I like old school basketball. We're not in the 80s and 90s anymore. We're in the new millennium. And I even want to go to this 10th, Kevin, superpower conferences. Just give me 32 teams in college basketball. Separate the mid-majors.
FAU was in the Final Four.
Boom.
San Diego State in the final.
You don't want it. Nope. It
doesn't even make sense.
Take them all out. See ya!
We give you expert analysis and information 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Any easier and the government would ban us. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Prevnar. U.S. immigration officials are asking the public and federal agencies to comment on a proposal to collect social media handles from people applying for benefits such as green cards or citizenship. Social media monitoring by immigration officials has been a practice for over a decade, since at least the second Obama administration, and ramping up under Trump's first term. Officials are seeking to, quote, strengthen fraud detection, prevent identity theft, and support the enforcement of rigorous screening and vetting measures to the fullest extent possible. Andrew Tate, a social media influencer known for expressing misogynistic views online, is facing a new lawsuit filed by his ex-girlfriend accusing him of sexual assault and battery. It adds to existing legal trouble for Tate, who's charged with human trafficking and forming a criminal gang to sexually exploit women in Romania. His brother Tristan Tate is also accused in that case. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
When you switch to Progressive, you could save bundling your home and auto. Then you could put that money towards some of the surprisingly more expensive things in life.
Attention passengers, we've reached 10,000 feet and internet is now available for purchase.
I just paid hundreds for this flight and you can't even throw in internet? I'll just take the free pretzels.
Sorry, but I do have snack boxes for sale.
I'm just gonna sleep.
In that case, we are selling pillows and blankets as well.
I'll just breathe. That's free, right?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
You don't have to listen to SportsGrid. You can always go out in the woods at night, look up, and wish on a shooting star. Or you can get the winning edge right here. And you won't find any ticks on you the next day. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Bowling on a Monday right here on the SportsGrid Network, Series 6 on Channel 159. Good today. Feel rested. I got a whole week to get ready for the Final Four, multiple days to get ready. A full Major League Baseball card today, Kevin, which I'm excited about as well. Warmer temperatures on the East Coast. Now, yesterday, did the double dip. Home studio, drove up to the studio in North Jersey. There must be a cutoff. Left yesterday, Kevin, 68 degrees. Got to Bellworks, 48 degrees. I'm like, it just must have been like that shift on the East Coast. Got back home last night, it was warm again. Wake up this morning, it was warm again. So I don't know what it was, where it's just one of those things where you find it's like, I wonder where it starts to turn warm, like north to south. I guess it was in the middle of New Jersey yesterday, was where the cutoff was.
Yeah, it was odd because I know you said it was warm all day and then boom. That happened to me
Yeah.
the night prior, Saturday. I got there, no jacket. It was gorgeous. And then
Mhm.
it was much later when I left the building. It was
Yeah.
freezing though. So, yeah, we're still kind of up and down, it feels weather wise here in Jersey, but we're getting there. We're getting there. It's going to be
Yanks
April
bats are
tomorrow.
getting Yanks bats are getting there right now, loving it. Small ballpark, designed to do exactly what it's doing right now, Kevin. Home runs all over the place. I love it. Bowling pins, home runs,
So,
points, scores, runs.
yeah. My again, I cannot really tolerate just nonsense. And the fact that people are quote tweeting Aaron Judge home runs and going, man, baseball's going to have to step in with these bats.
Yep.
I'm now very annoyed. I'm very annoyed. Aaron Judge isn't using the bat.
Mm-hmm.
We can have a conversation about the bats, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you my takes on it, whatever. But I can't have a conversation if we're going to do, oh, man, look at this, Aaron Judge. Probably sooner or later, this is what we're going to hear. Judge probably been using that bat for years, and I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he's not even using the new bats, which is great. So whatever Judge is doing is outside the realm of what the rest of the Yankees lineup is doing, which I do think is even more funny, where they use Aaron Judge hitting a couple home runs in the first few days. Like, man, that bat's illegal. It's like, yeah, it's not even the bat that everybody else is using. Like, ooh, better change my narrative quickly at this point. I want everybody to go to bowling pins. Let's go. Let's hammer them. Let's bomb away in the upper deck. I love it, man. Give me runs scored on the board. That's what we cheer for. So today, Kevin, full slate across Major League Baseball, which includes here in my city of Philadelphia, which they should bomb away. What a great opening. By the way, Phillies embarrassed themselves yesterday. You can't win every game. They went 2 out of 3 on the road. It's what it is. But the fact of the matter, Kevin, they open up with the Nationals and then the Rockies. That's like a perfect storm to get your season started in the right direction. Like that's got to be, 6-2, 7-2. I don't know if this is a 4-game set with them. Like right off the bat, perfect start. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, that certainly lines up for it, though we know sometimes teams can trip and fall over themselves. It happens, right? The Pittsburgh Pirates, could they be fun this year? Right? That's what people were hoping. We got Skeens.
Angels wins.
They lose 3 out of 4 to the Miami Marlins. So it's never that
walk
easy.
off.
I think the thing that jumps right off the page, Johnny, is the dichotomy of the Dodgers and the Braves for tonight's baseball game. 5-0 versus 0-4. Atlanta gets shut out twice.
Wow, they go to the Dodgers now. Oh my.
Brave season over already.
That's not a good look. And I love it too, because I want the Braves to be as bad as possible. Same thing with the New York Mets. So I do enjoy this. But there's ways you lose, Kevin, and do we have a pulse? Did we even practice in the offseason? That's what you got out of the Braves. And last night, I ended up losing $22 yesterday on the day. I had a parlay and 2 RBI props last night on the Braves, and the whole ride home. Like, you know me, like I'm not watching the game, but it'll buzz me like when something good happens. I didn't get a damn buzz the entire ride home last night. Like, what are the Braves doing? That's what the final score. Like, yeah, that's what the Braves were doing. But that's one of those where high expectations for a team, long season, but you can't be any more demoralized. And then San Diego's a really good baseball team. Don't get me wrong. The Dodgers are the best team in baseball. So when you're not playing like good baseball and you're playing up against the best of the best, tough scene for those fans, man. What, are they going to boo them out of the stadium when they get home for their home? Like, hey, we're 0-8 to open the season. Home day at Truist Park. Let's go.
They play a 3-game set with the Dodgers, Donnie. Do you have that in front of you by chance? Because I just want to bring it. I'm trying to figure out is the perception this team's going to be 0-8, 0-7. Dodgers, 25-0.
Yeah, 4 straight losses to San Diego. A 3-game set, 31st, April 1st, and April 2nd with the Dodgers on the road. Then they come home and get the Marlins for 3. So, but then the Marlins are probably playing. They're like, hey, we can make the playoffs right now. Like we're locked and loaded. Let's see what we can do. Then they take on the Phillies for 3, Tampa Bay for 3, Toronto for 3, Minnesota. So and then St. Louis, Arizona. There's some chances to get back. But that's a tough start. Like you almost have to say to yourself, got one against the Dodgers, man.
Yeah.
1-6.
No other way to look at it. They have to get one against the Dodgers. 100%. 100%.
Glass now.
Now it's baseball. Okay. You're supposed to get one. What's up with Rosei Sasaki? I was seeing tweets saying it's not going well for the youngster.
Yeah, looks like he's done. Thank goodness. You know what I mean? Now, granted, getting over my skis right now. But this was supposed to be like, oh, Sasaki's going to come over. Let's watch him opening day or opening week. And like, oh, look at that. 7 innings pitched. Nobody even touched the kid. And away the Dodgers go with another absolute steal. So it is a little comforting where like his first 2 starts where, is he in Major League Baseball right now? Does he have to figure some things out as opposed to, oh, yeah, we just signed like the best pitcher in baseball overseas and he's automatically dominant because nobody's seen him pitch yet. And he gets like the whole season of like 22 starts and ERA of 1.69. Like, thank goodness it doesn't look like we're going to get that. So maybe one thing the Dodgers did right doesn't look like it's going to be absolutely sensational. So hopefully that's the case. But yeah, he is struggling to start.
Interesting there. Yeah, I don't know. The videos, people seem to be picking on him a little bit online, which, again, is interesting there. But the Dodgers off to a red. It's crazy. Like, first World Series champs to start 5-0. Like, you see the Dodgers at 5-0, you're like, yeah, of course. And then their historical context is like, this has never happened in Dodger baseball history. It's like, I don't really understand what's going on here.
Yeah. People are probably calling Francesa now. Do you think the Dodgers can go 162-0 like every day now? Because they probably will get 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 in a row. Let's see where that comes to, because that would be nice. As a Phillies fan again, probably not going to ever chase down the Dodgers, but at least in the wake of that, maybe can beat down the Atlanta Braves for just a little bit more. Now, let me switch, because we're going to talk a little Major League Baseball during this show. We're also going to talk a little action here coming up, obviously, on college basketball, how it sets up for the Final Four. NBA, I don't even know if they played yesterday. I just checked on the Sixers. They got beat again and hammered. That's fantastic. Football. Interesting stories now coming up at the quarterback position for 2 cities. We'll get to it next on Moneyline.
Loser is kind of a mean-spirited slur.
But it doesn't have to stick.
Tell them to listen to SportsGrid and fix it.
No, thank you.
Later. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
And Ali, who has done virtually nothing all afternoon.
1973, Muhammad Ali suffers a broken jaw in a shocking split decision loss to Ken Norton in 12 rounds.
7 points, Norton, 5 points, Ali.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
New Roar University research finds unremarkably when you burn your hand on the stove, it really hurts. However, if your hand is hidden so you can't see it while it's getting burned, while you're staring at a lifelike rubber hand, it doesn't hurt much.
Huh?
Kids, don't try this at home, but this confusing rubber hand illusion has uncovered a complicated relationship between the human mind and pain. Maybe leading to effective new therapies for chronic discomfort. However, no information yet on the effects on the nervous system from wearing a rubber nose. Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Sports Rage Tonight.
I've said it before, March Madness, like the actual NCAA tournament, it's for amateurs. It's like New Year's Eve. Every jackass, Johnny and Sally go out on New Year's Eve, right? And, oh, we're partiers. We go out on New Year's Eve. We go out on Halloween. Now, the real drunks are going out on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. You know what I'm saying?
It's Sports Rage Tonight with Gabe Morency. Weekdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Winning is no accident.
You've got to be smart about it.
It takes a plan.
All centered around expert analysis and trusted information.
That's what you get.
Right here.
The Winning Edge. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
I love radio. I love relaxing. I love the fact that I didn't have to do a morning show this morning where I came up real refreshed. Have a nice lunch right after this. We do a little bit of yard work. All the sprinkler guys coming out next weekend to turn the sprinklers on. One guy already got to work like 2 weeks ago. Like things are happening. Like happiness, like for me. And Kevin understands this now, being a homeowner. Grass is going to be one of those things where you take pride in, but it takes a while. Like I remember having like a condominium that I first bought, then a townhouse. I have to do my own grass. Could care less. Little blotch of grass didn't matter anyway. But now, nice, big property, a lot of grass. I take pride in it, and I enjoy it. Like I like to watch the sprinklers water. Makes sense. It's great. People are listening right now in your 20s and 30s, even if you have a house, you might not understand that. When you hit your 40s, you will understand pride in taking like your front lawn and your back lawn and things going right. I'm telling you.
So, I haven't, again, I do, whenever I remember that you like have all the documents of this house, it does crack me up.
Yeah, I do.
But
I'll go with it right now.
The backyard, there's it's like, like almost like a little lot, right? Where it's, supposed to have nice grass. It was beat up a little bit from the prior owners. They, because one, they were on their way out, but they had dogs.
Yes.
Right. Okay, fine.
Same thing as my house. Didn't have great lawn care before I got here.
So it was not something I cared about, right? We have the 2 dogs. They run around. They beat it up. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. You start to notice all of a sudden the dogs, they don't even like going to the bathroom now. That's supposed to be like their area, right? And I'm like, what's the deal here? And talk to the man. She's like, I think it's because there's like no grass. And you look at it, Donnie, and it really is now just dirt. And there was just one day she had been talking to me. She's like, I really want to figure something out about this, but I don't know. Just, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out like who's going to make the tournament, right? Like I got a block. And one day I called her. I go, hey, we got to figure out the grass back here. She's like, awesome. I'm going to kill you. Great. Because you just look at it, you go, this isn't right. This should look nice. It doesn't look nice. The dogs don't even want to play in it anymore. You know what I mean? So we're gonna get it sodded actually.
Okay.
In the back. Yeah. And then we're gonna, obviously have to get the upkeep to make sure it stays nice.
Here's the tough part about that too, and I love this too. Like it's Moneyline. Like, what are you guys talking about this? But trust me, people, you understand this later in life. We have a couple minutes on this. But having a couple dogs, which I do have a couple dogs, they beat up my backyard because I let them out. We don't have a fence, but it's a big yard where one of them has a halo collar, which is fantastic, where it keeps him in a certain range. Like my one young dog, he's wild. Let him out the door without his collar, he just gets lost. See, goes in the woods, you don't ever hear from him again. Yeah, so we have a halo collar, which is satellite, which buzzes him at the perimeter, and he knows where to go. You can leave him out there. Don't even pay attention to him. He doesn't go anywhere. Older dog could care less. Walks around that yard like, hey, I don't go anywhere. Leave me alone at this point.
Yeah.
But they crush the grass in a certain area because they like to go to the bathroom there. So just be leery of that. Like if you don't have a huge backyard, they'll have one spot that they love in that grass, and it'll be yellow the whole summer and burned out. So just get ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because we want it to look so nice, but it also, I want that. Like they're taking rocks. They're going over to the rocks because of they're like, I'm not this sandlot, thing you've left us over here. This is ridiculous. We can't use this anymore. So we're working on that. I'll tell you, man, it's very funny. But I think told me, you're like, listen, you're getting into the house. There's going to be a lot of stuff you didn't expect, and that's just what it is. And that's what it is. Tuesday, I think a door guy's coming. Wednesday, guys coming in with outdoor furniture.
Never stops. So all right, got that out of the way. Next week, new project. Week after that, new project. Wife's telling me she wants to do like wallpaper all over the place out of nowhere. Like that's what we do. Never stops.
We went and we were looking for cushions for outdoor furniture, right? And like, all right, so we're trying to figure it out. And we got to the point where we couldn't find like the back cushions. And I turned to her and I said, listen, honestly, I don't care. Buy anything you want. We'll go home. We'll get it all online. I can't do this anymore. I cannot spend another. And then we made friends, though, with the woman in the store. She went, are you looking for these? We're like, we sure are. We sure are. Angel from heaven. So then we were in business. And then we went to the outdoor furniture place, and we found some chairs and a table. So it was all happening.
Yeah. So my back patio, which has the pavers on it, we have a big table and the umbrella. We also have a smaller, like circular table with 2 chairs. And then on the bottom of our pavers, Kevin, we have the little gas fire pit with the 4 chairs around it. Wife had to have all that. She ain't been outside in 3 years. Like I'm the only one that sits up there all by myself with all of those chairs and a hot tub in the backyard. We always do all this stuff. Yeah, exactly. That's the way it goes around here. Trust me on this. I want to talk Ravens football because something's interesting happening in the NFL.
It's easy to get SportsGrid almost anywhere with our mobile app. So give us a break. We're not going to tap your screen for you. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
South Carolina women's basketball is headed back to the Final Four. They beat Duke 54-50 on Sunday. The Gamecocks, the top seed in Regional 2. The Blue Devils, the second seed. South Carolina advances to take on top seed UCLA out of Regional 1. They beat third seed LSU 72-65. South Carolina rallied to the win to make their fifth straight Final Four appearance. For UCLA, it's their first ever Final Four appearance. The Gamecocks are looking for their second straight national title and third in the last 4 years. Both teams will play on Friday, April the 4th. They'll find out their opponents tonight. Regional 3, top seed Texas takes on second seed TCU. Regional 4, top seed USC against second seed UConn. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo and save with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Find what you love and love what you find. A Total Wine and More, the place to go for sipping rosés with seltzers on ice, making margaritas with your favorite tequilas. It's warm out, let's go. Our prices are low on spirits, beer, and wine. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Only at Total Wine and More. Drink responsibly. B21.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Here'th my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times?
You're playing the lute. Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
How to tell if you have the winning edge. Take a sheet of paper.
Crumple into a ball.
Throw it at a trash can. Even if you miss, so long as you're listening to us,
You have it. Get the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Times are changing in the NFL, Kevin. They really are. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is, not that the Jets actually are telling that Justin Fields is the true number one quarterback getting into camp, because that's like a foreign thing now where Minnesota doesn't want to do that and Trey Lance never got that. But at least it's nice where you get a quarterback, he's the number one. Tell him he's the number one. Don't say, hey, he's going to have to get out there, Kevin, and earn it. You're going to have to earn it. No, he is the number one. But here's an interesting thing, and not that Mike Tomlin is saying he's okay with Mason Rudolph being the starting quarterback this year. That's nonsense. We'll get to Rodgers in a second also. Are we at the point now, Kevin, where it's so evident in professional football, and I don't know if it's the right thing or not, because we were taught to believe win on your rookie quarterback contract. You got 5 years. If he's good by year number 2, you got 3 more years where you can absolutely let it sling on the rest of your roster and steal some of those years from the quarterback that when they start taking up a quarter of the cap, you can't do that. The Ravens now haven't won anything with Lamar Jackson. Have paid Lamar Jackson. At the time Lamar Jackson signed the biggest contract, I guess, in NFL history, after Jalen Hurts did it, and then it's that domino effect moving up. The Ravens now are exploring options again for another extension for Lamar Jackson. Just signed one 2 years ago. Is this the going rate where it's like, we just have to be so proactive, Kevin, that, we could get 5 years of his last deal, but if he's still a good quarterback in 2 years, we could have saved so much more money if we signed him 2 years earlier, fresh off a 2-year contract extension before that. Is that where we're at in the NFL, where you might be looking at, Kevin, good, not the bad ones, like, hey, we think he's going to be our friend. Your franchise quarterbacks are just going to get signed to massive extensions every other year because the cap goes up so much where sooner than later, you're going to debilitate yourself if you just let these 5-year rolling contracts just go through.
Yeah, I think so. We saw Josh Allen, Donnie, extended, right, this offseason. So if you're the Ravens, is there any world Lamar's not your guy? You did that song and dance once. Let's be honest, from the Baltimore's end of it, it was pretty embarrassing because he had to request a trade. And then everyone, the fools around the league were like, we're not that interested in him. Like, teams were falling over themselves. They're like, we don't want to trade for Lamar. I remember. That was insane. So, yeah, I think it's one of the things, Donnie, if you look at the Philadelphia Eagles offseason, right, they've largely just spent it paying guys on the team because there's a lot of security within Philadelphia. they know it's ride or die with Saquon Barkley or Lane Johnson or Zach Bond. So they get to give out these contracts and just trust those guys and hope down the road that money then will end up in a good position. I wonder, though, if there's a quarterback situation out there, Donnie, where someone wonders, hey, listen, can I give you a deal long enough, but with guaranteed money, where we can really lower these numbers? Because everybody is obsessed with talking about the Pat Mahomes contract and, Pat's, but again, Pat was given like $450 million guaranteed, like up front, essentially, right, from the Kansas City Chiefs. And he was given that a long time ago. So at the time, it was like, okay, wow, obviously things have started to bubble. But I wonder if you're a Lamar Jackson, Don, you want 10 years? What if we just give you $500 million? Can we just
lifetime
lock that
just
in?
pay,
Yeah. I don't know.
We'll just pay like when you retire, we'll spend it out over 50 years, like the Dodgers would figure out somehow to do that at that point. But I thought it was interesting. Lamar just got paid, and like we want another extension. Not even Kevin just a restructure. Like, we'll just kick some of the can. Like legitimately, new contract, even more money, spread it down over 5 years, and that's just the way it is. And it's interesting because again, Lamar Jackson hasn't won anything yet as a starter, but is a very good starter in the NFL. And that's something that's like, does Jalen Hurts now say, okay, well, Lamar, at least I win big time games. I can do that. You better pay me as well. It's an interesting look for down the line as we see it sort of get there at that point. Other NFL talk, the owners all meeting up, coaches, general managers in one spot, usually spurns like trade talks and, what's going to happen in the future, which means the competition committee, Kevin, gets together once again. And again, the hot topic is the tush push. And it says now that the ban of the tush push is gaining steam. Here's my favorite part of the equation on this. Like Sean McDermott's reasoning for it, which he reiterated again. I'm just worried about the safety of the athletes. And he admitted, well, we don't have any data that shows you even get injured on the play, but that's just my feelings. Is that what we're down to at this point? That's like saying for me, like if I am a Miami Dolphins fan, I go, well, Tua can't run anymore. I'm going to propose a rule that quarterbacks have to stay in the pocket. And once you get a hand on them, they're sacked because, quarterbacks get hurt when they get hit. And then you go, wait a second, I got Josh Allen. Like half of his plays are scrambling outside the pocket, diving in the end zones and dominating the football game. Like, why would you? What? Look, I just want your quarterback to be safe. He can't leave the pocket. That's what I like here. If you told me, Kevin, and also I'll get to the second point here, that the tush push last year ended like 3 careers. Like all the weight came down, crushed his rib cage, and everybody's on the bottom of the pile. We can't have that anymore. So you know what? That makes some sense. It's a really dangerous play. And it's not a dangerous play at this point. So when you look at the tush push and say, you can't do it because there's injuries, and the second part, Kevin, as I said, well, we don't want the calamity that we saw in the NFC title game where one bozo, low IQ linebacker kept just jumping over the pile repeatedly at this point. They go, we don't want it to turn into something. So you're telling me next year, Kevin, game number 1, if it's not, it's home, Thursday Night Football at the Link, and the tush push isn't banned, the team's going to be so upset that they'll go offsides like 16 times in a row or something like that. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, the whole thing is ridiculous. I would just say Sean McVay, incredibly soft. Anybody who is trying to ban the tush push is incredibly soft, and they should acknowledge that about themselves if that's where they are in this moment. Because none of them are attempting to do it for any other reason than they are trying to level the field of playing because they cannot execute it and the Philadelphia Eagles can. That's the reality. Everybody has the option to do it. Baltimore figured it out a little bit with their tight ends doing it. The Bills had it figured out for a while until they fell all over themselves against Kansas City. Right? Jordan Love tried to do it and he fell on his face.
Why they want it banned? Like, we tried it and it just backfired on us, so we don't even want the option. Like, I don't even have to tell my quarterback we're tush pushing because I can't stand it.
Yeah, so that's what we have there. Again, it's incredibly soft. People are saying about injuries, there's no data about injuries, and let's be honest here, we're playing football, so that's a complete lie from Sean McVay. Then people who are talking about, well, we're worried about pushing. This isn't a sport of pushing. That's total BS. Because I watched running backs get stuffed up at the 2-yard line. And what's that? A mush push pile gains them another 4 or 5 yards because the refs didn't blow the whistle. Right. So that's a lie, obviously. So that's total nonsense. Mm-hmm. And then we're worried about Frankie Louvu doing swanton bombs over the top of the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. And I don't really understand why that would be a problem for the tush push when Frankie Louvu could have done the same darn thing if the Eagles were going to run a halfback dive. So that's also nonsense. So then there's the people who go, well, we don't want to do it because it's not football. Really? I don't know. It looks like football to me. Look, it looks like football when I watch it, so they sound stupid. Here's the reality. Every single person who tries to argue they should get rid of the tush push sounds soft and silly. That's what they sound like. Soft and silly. There isn't a person on this planet that I wouldn't put on a leash and dog walk for as ever long as they want, who would try and argue me that the tush push should be banned, and that Sean McVay and anyone else that would like to have that opportunity. And all I know is Nick Sirianni's a real G because he said one thing that I love. And he said, I don't know how this vote's going to go, but I know Jonathan Gannon, Kellen Moore, and Shane Steichen better act right when this vote comes around. Because all three of them can thank that play for them getting themselves jobs. And honestly, I like that a lot out of Nick Sirianni. I like it a lot.
So to get that backbone. Now, what happens if you found out that Sean McDermott sent one play into the NFL and why the tush push should be taken away? And it was because a defensive lineman lined up sideways and got his neck collapsed.
Yeah. Well, now, you know what? You might have something. Yeah.
People get injured all over the place. And I go, wait, why did he line up? The best part, though, is like, Cam Jurgens and the boys down, like, this guy's going to, we are going to push him into the goalpost right now and snap him in half at this point. How would you get? I guess the leverage on that was Chris Jones, like, I'm going to push the pile off kilter, like, horizontally. And then he goes, like, yeah, we're just going to barrel roll you right into the end zone at this point. And then you see him stretching his neck to the sideline at the Super Bowl because he got crushed on that play. Never ends here at this point. Major League Baseball coming up. Let's take a look at a couple pitchers based on last year's statistics. Yes, we get hammered today on a Monday afternoon. We'll be right back. It's Moneyline. Place to be. It's Sirius XM Channel 1.
You're listening to one of the last places on earth where a man can be a man and not get those looks.
Welcome aboard, good sir.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Men's hoops on Sunday. Top seed Houston beat second seed Tennessee in the Midwest region to advance to the Final Four. 69-50 was the final. In the South region, top seed Auburn advanced past second seed Michigan State 70-64. Sunday's results follow up the two Saturday games out of the West region. Top seed Florida beat third seed Texas Tech 84-79. Top seed Duke beat second seed Alabama 85-65 out of the East region. Final Four action starts this Saturday. The host site, San Antonio, Texas. Auburn battles Florida. Houston will square off with Duke. South Carolina women's basketball headed to their fifth straight Final Four. They beat Duke 54-50 on Sunday. UCLA 72-65 winners over LSU. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
At Skechers, we put the S in comfort.
Wait. Skechers put the S in comfort?
Yes, comfort you have to feel to believe. Skechers, we put the S in comfort.
Let me try. Okay, I'm just stepping in and... Oh, wow. Skechers put the S in comfort.
Duh, we told you.
Find Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
When it comes to odds on daily sporting events, it's complicated when you factor in everything from current wind speed
to how hot a player's girlfriend is.
But you don't have to mess with that.
Just keep it here and listen.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Major League, who catching because I'm pitching? Who said that, Kev? You know who said that? Come on. Any ideas? There you go, Rick Ross. Now, when we look at pitchers in Major League Baseball, it is baseball season. We do the Pro Baseball Show every Sunday. Why isn't it 7 days a week at this point? Well, it's Sunday. That's where it's supposed to be. 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. getting you set. All the hot topics from the week before, all the games on that day. So many people, Kevin, reach out and ask, like, what are the statistics that you like to look at in Major League Baseball, particularly from a pitching perspective? But before we get that, did you see the picture? Did you see the Lisi picture?
Yeah.
Amazing that just popped up, like, a random, like, show me a trading floor somewhere. Well, your boy DRS did a little investigating, zooming in on pictures and find certain things about the picture that I like. And Lisi had to give respect on that. Like, I was a married man back then. He had some glasses on. Why is the guy next to you shout like he's eating over there with trades, and Lisi's just on the sideline? So there's a lot of questions to be answered there, but I did appreciate that.
Yeah, man, it looks like the other guys out there trading, Joe. Not much activity out of you.
Exactly. Like that, the very first look I got at that was that tweet. So, well, wait a second. Like, Lisi hands crossed, other guy just firing away. Like, a very un-Lisi like. Like, Lisi should have been like every single person challenge. Like, now who wants it at $32.22? Me. Like, that's Lisi. Like, just buying and buying and buying and buying all the way down. Didn't look like that. It looked like he was being shrewd, thinking about his next trade or investment. And then he tells me it's like the gold exchange. Like, I don't even know where that was even going, but who knows?
Lisi, I just like that how he bets is, I think, comparable to how he is in the stock market. But my favorite thing, and I learned this last year, I say this with love, is Lisi bets the NFL draft the same way he bets a game. And the way Lisi bets can be very profitable. He can hit these parlays on these wonky guys. But when he bets Brian Thomas Jr. to be the second receiver off the board, because he's like, well, everybody else is betting this way, or, well, I think he's the second best receiver. You go, well, Joe, that's not really how that's going to play out. He's like, well, I got Brandon Allen, first running back off the board. Well, why? He goes, well, because everybody else is going this way. And it's like, I don't know if that's the
No, is he on this telecast this year? Is he going to be on the telecast this year? Because
we don't have our crew settled. I know that.
Like, Lisi, best bets in the draft here. Shedeur Sanders off the board, number 1. It's quarterback. Well, why do you like that? Because everybody's going Cam Ward.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Shedeur. I think he's got the goods.
No, it's very possible that he is betting Travis Hunter to go first, and he will tell you, I think he's the best player in this draft. And well, but I don't think that's really all that's being determined here in this draft. And it's all
like
right.
You could tell at least like game number 1, like he's suspended for the first half. Love him even more to go over his normal game, 89.5 receiving yards, right? He only gets 1 half, Joe. Everybody's saying he can't get it. I think he gets it done here at this point. Yeah. So, by the way, draft is April? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Mid-April?
Last week of April.
Coming up soon. Yeah, there you go.
I think it is.
Where are you guys going to be? Ocean? AC? Where's the extravaganza at? Where was it last year? Anywhere? Or just back in the...
Yeah, we were home. We had really good coverage. Are you interested in the draft this year at all? I know you're not usually a draft guy, but you have Cam Ward down in Miami, Shedeur and Hunter. Eagles pick 32nd. You won't even see it?
No, absolutely zero shot. And since Eagles pick 32nd, they'll probably trade out once it gets like the 31st
That's
pick.
tough.
I've waited up for nothing. Everybody wants a 32nd pick in the first round. The Eagles aren't picking there. They're out. See ya. Go back.
Might move up.
Next year's draft, they have 39 picks in next year's draft. Now, that might be fun. That might be fun next year. All those bonus picks that they're going to have at that point. But no, I've no betting interest in the draft whatsoever. Like, and I'm already upset that I didn't take Cam Ward at minus like 275 to be the number 1 overall pick. Like, at least you put $1,000 on that, right? Pick a couple $100 back. Would have felt so good. I feel so dumb. Like when we were talking about, look at his draft number. Just put something down on it. So even if you can guarantee yourself $100 back, it's free money. It's like, And now it's.
Do you think we get one more move though?
Where somebody just puts out like a smoke. Whoa, like somebody loves going up to 1.
Yeah. Not even that. Like, we've heard Tennessee might like next year's quarterbacks more. And then it's like, Abdul Carter.
You know what? You're right. And that will come because it's a smart move by Tennessee to be like, we are locked and loaded on Cam. Let me just float something. Because I might get a phone call that goes 3 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s, and the best player on our team because we love Cam. Meanwhile, I don't think that's happening, but you're right. It's the due diligence of Tennessee going like, we're drafting Cam. And like, let's just see if we got an idiot out there. There's an idiot every day. This takes one idiot. Pick up the phone and give us something so dumb we can't turn it down, which you might get. You might get on that odds market at that point, but we'll see. But no, not a lot of interest. By the way, if I gave you, actually, it's probably too hard to ask you this question. I was going over like statistics in Major League Baseball, right? People hear like, oh, the XFIPs and the XFIP minuses and the Sierra numbers and all that stuff. They're all really, molded into one, but just what you want to like look at yourself. The minuses, Kevin, like XFIP, expected fielding independent pitching. Very good concept. You throw the minus in there, Kevin, brings the ballpark into the picture, which helps you with the Colorado Rockies and people in good pitching environments, sort of levels the playing field on everything. If we take a look at those type of numbers, say, the Phillies, who were terrible on offense yesterday, fantastic on their first two games. They're at home today. It's warm in Philadelphia. If I look at some of the latest numbers, first pitch, Kevin, 3 o'clock, 15 miles an hour blowing out dead out to right center field and 77 degrees. So it looks like a really good day in Philadelphia. The reason I bring that up is German Marquez is on the mound. XFIP minus numbers. The baseline is 100. If your pitcher is above 100, he's a below average pitcher. Below, then he's a very good pitcher. So case in point today, Christopher Sanchez of the Phillies is a 79 XFIP minus. Really good, like 20% better than the median. You can trust that. German Marquez, Kevin, a 160 based on last year's XFIP minus numbers, which means 60% worse than the average pitcher in Major League Baseball. 6.86 Sierra, 6.56 XFIP number. Like, I really think like the Phillies have a chance to tee off today, which again, their favorite minus 275. But the good part is, like, I'm not a side better. So I just look at that and be like, okay, how can I factor into a plus money number if I think the Phillies rate can get 5+ runs today? So fun market there. But I'm going to tell you, I'm angry at one thing so far. Sent a couple emails already over there. I need it rectified. Tell you what it is next.
This is the place. This is where you'll get expert perspectives and sports gaming strategies 24/7. And it's free. Beat that, you cheap. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Imagine combining the exciting investment opportunity of cryptocurrencies with the power of artificial intelligence to maximize your IRA, 401k, or other investment funds. Listen, if you're looking for ways to accelerate your retirement growth, Block Trust IRA has market-leading strategies and solutions for all levels of investors, from $1,000 to millions. And they partner with Bitcoin Magazine's #1 crypto trading fund in the world to maximize your returns. Plus, their team of IRA specialists is here to help you roll over your IRA or qualified retirement account to the new world of cryptocurrency investments. So make this free call right now to set up your account and learn more.
800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. That's 800-434-5313.
Carver and Lisi.
By the way, great intro song, Matthias. I like that. That's going to be the new intro on Wednesdays with Carver and sometimes Lisi. Hey, look at this. I'm in the credits tonight. I made it to the big time. Look at this.
We had a discussion about this last night.
Yeah, I was watching. I got a lot of things going on, Joe. Got a lot of things going on.
I don't understand what you're upset about. You're not on the show that night.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. On the SportsGrid Radio Network. Think of us as your cool roommate that has this innate gift of somehow always picking winners and never bugs you about doing the dishes or paying rent. Sports gaming strategies and information 24/7. Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
We were just talking to Kevin about stats. What was it under on Fangraphs for you there? So live daily leaderboards. I see live daily leaderboards is up right now, where it says like, let's just say, maybe I don't know. This might have been just overall from people pitching before. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like the simulation Where I was like, yeah, you know what? 6.4 Ks today.
Yes.
Numbers 5.5.
Because
roll with the under.
Yes, because in order to do, and now you got me pulling it up again, just praying that somehow, some way they're going to bring it back. I don't think they are. Let's see, play tool, player graphs. I don't know. I don't see it. But basically, with the strikeout props, Donnie, they're so particular, right? So when you get, hey, they're projecting this guy for 5.4 strikeouts, right? And if you have an over 4.5 number, 5.4 is awesome. Like you might think that, be like, oh, that's nothing. But meanwhile, if they got him at 4.9, it's like I can't touch that.
Yeah.
I can't touch that. So I don't know. I can't find it. Maybe I'll try again. Maybe I'll reach out to Fangraphs again. It was public. That was the thing it was cool about it. It was just, I don't know why they would get rid of it. It doesn't really make sense, right?
No, it's probably somewhere they move it around. Like I sometimes have to get a hold of PFF. Be like, what happened to this thing? Oh, we re-upped our database. It's down under this and with a little bit different look. It's probably all it was.
But I emailed them twice. I don't know if it went to like spam. Like I don't know. I emailed them multiple times.
I don't know how technical they are. Like I don't know if they have like a department that would get back to you. Like when you text Ken Tom, it's like you factor in injuries. No, that's the only response you get back. So it's him doing it himself. I don't even know if Fangraphs like what is this guy talking about? No idea at this point. But Germán Marquez is a good shot. But last year again didn't pitch all that much. Just factoring on the ballpark where it's at this point. Last year Harper absolutely mashed right-handed pitching. Same thing with Kyle Schwarber. I think that lineup is live. I haven't put any plays in yet. First game is going to start. Kansas City, Milwaukee. Milwaukee happy to be home after getting out of Yankee Stadium alive with their pitching staff. My goodness, they get their heads torched at this point. 2:10 also Minnesota and Chicago, the White Sox. That is a horrendous game. Boston, Baltimore, 35. That's Camden Yards. Philadelphia and Colorado. So a little bit warmer weather too on the East Coast. Like I'm assuming like Baltimore's probably decent weather as well with the Phillies. Looking at a little bit of rain later on, but a full schedule all the way through. I see my guy Pedro out here saying like, what are the early plays? It's very hard early in the season. And what I was talking about, Ken, before the break is like still for like no radar in the month of April for me. It's like, you know what? I know these players are hitting well, ride a streak or two, but I don't have enough pitching under my belt. I don't have enough splits for the hitters. But the one thing I do get angry at sometimes is I use a couple different sites. Roto-Grinders, I think, is one of the best, if not the best sites for Major League Baseball. Just look at day-to-day optics. But sometimes they're slow in updating to start the season. Like, hey, how many at-bats does Christian Yelich have? Tells me you have like one in the last 30 days, which obviously is untrue. He's played 3 games. And, this season he has 14 at-bats when he only has like 10 at-bats. Like, I don't know where it's coming from. So it's sort of like you want to see the visualization, even if it's Kevin. Hey, the guy's faced a left-handed pitcher 4 times, had 3 base hits. Okay, he's on. He's locked in on left-handed pitchers early. It doesn't mean a lot, but you ride that hot streak. I just don't like that I can't see that updated just yet. So hopefully that changes soon. I did email them yesterday and today. They did get back to me. It's a very good site. Been using them since 2019. One of the best in the business. So hopefully that changes just for my optics and my sanity, because then it's sort of paint by numbers, man. Once you get after April, where it's May, June, July, and August, baseball handicapping for me is so simple. Like I can go through a whole card in 15 minutes to know exactly who I want and who I want to fade. Now you're saying, oh, well, how'd they do last year? And boy, that got a good start opening day. It's the same thing every single year. It's tedious in the first month of the season. It's much easier as we go. And yesterday I did lose a little bit, which I'm fine with. Had a lot of fun, had a lot of bets, lost like $20, made a little bit back in college basketball yesterday. So I was good with that. But today, just sitting back again, I'll probably be betting anywhere between 10 to 15, like RBI props, real light amounts, just to sort of have that own tracker here. But it's just fun to have baseball back every single day at this point. So nothing serious.
Yeah, I like that we got day games, obviously, with it still having an opening day feel to it. Tonight, we have some NBA games. Lakers, Rockets should be good. We also have, Donnie, what's going to be a really fascinating game. UConn, USC in the women's game. Final 4 slot on the line.
No Juju.
The Juju Watkins injury. This is a double-digit number. The Huskies are booked as favorites to win the championship. And USC is a dog. That was going to happen regardless. I think I saw 13.5 maybe. This is going to be something here to see that game tonight and see Paige Beckers off the 40 ball.
Yeah, I saw that. Was it a career high for her with the 40 spot at that point?
Yeah, absolutely.
UConn back on top in this basketball game. Absolutely craziness. They should go back again one more year. Does she have one more year of eligibility too? She can go back if she wanted to. Be nuts.
Yeah, she could, but she said she's going to go. She's going to declare.
We're out of here. For Monday Moneyline. Thanks for coming in. Tuesday, we'll be right back. See ya.
It's easy to get SportsGrid almost anywhere with our mobile app. So give us a break. We're not going to tap your screen.
Bag the Gretzky's mark wasn't enough, though, as the Sabres beat the Capitals 8-5. Washington's already clinched a playoff berth. They've got a 7-point lead ahead of Carolina for the Metropolitan Division's top spot. The Hurricanes remain hot. They beat the Islanders 6-4. The Canes with wins in 11 of 13. In overtime, the Senators fell 1-0 at Pittsburgh. Sidney Crosby scored the overtime winner. Tristan Jarry made 31 stops. Utah beat Chicago 5-2. The Jets over the Canucks 3-1. The Canadians doubled up the Panthers 4-2. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo and save with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Fresh finds and fresh savings. That's SpringFest at Lowe's. Right now, get a free Select Ego 56-volt battery when you buy a Select Ego trimmer, blower, or mower. Plus, get up to 20% off Select Scott's Turf Builder grass seed. Shop these spring deals and more for all your lawn care needs. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 4/2. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. Excludes Alaska.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce.
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
How many SportsGrid listeners does it take to change a light bulb?
It takes 2. 1 to change the light bulb.
And 1 to see if our mobile app can provide the same amount of light.
Get the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
A new week begins right here, right now, live on Football Full Circle. It is FFC, all a part of the SportsGrid Radio Network in Sirius XM Channel 159. He is the mastermind of the pigskin. That is Joe Lisi. I am Ben Stevens. A new week to break down all things football, live right here on this Monday. League meetings underway in West Palm Beach, Florida. All the coaches and GMs and everybody gathers for the league meetings down in the sunny Sunshine State, where some rules will be examined, some things have been proposed, and of course we'll continue some off-season headlines that everybody needs to know. Also some big news in the world of football that blends the NFL and college football on this Monday that we'll break down. A lot to get into here, Lisa Guy, up until 1 p.m. Eastern time here in this hour on FFC.
Yeah, a lot of news and notes, and obviously, you know, one of them is Aaron Rodgers throwing with DK Metcalf over the weekend. Is this a prelude to potentially Rodgers signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers? You mentioned, you know, what's going on as it relates to the NFL draft, and this is what it's all about, right? You know, we have about 3 weeks away for some of these teams to make some moves in the market, Ben, and we'll see. The offseason moves and the coaches' meetings in West Palm, it's okay. But what I find ironic is now everybody is starting to build up momentum to potentially, ban the tush push, which it's unbelievable. It's the game of football. It's a quarterback sneak, basically. And if you can't stop it, it's on you as the coaches and the players, but they're making it an injury thing, which is unbelievable when you think about it. It's probably one of the safest plays in the game, and now we're gonna mention injury. Let's not have any type of goal line situations then.
It is a grueling play, there is no doubt, but it's not like it was the injury-prone nature of the kickoff rules that had to lead to its changes. Of course, that was done for safety and also trying to bring back a component of football that was really eliminated from the NFL prior to the dynamic kickoff this past season. Lisa, we'll get to the tush push in just a moment. We'll get to all the conversation around the coaches meeting and the annual league meeting in West Palm in just a little bit. But let's start with some big news on this Monday morning. Frank Reich, former Indianapolis Colts and Carolina Panthers head coach, Frank Reich has been named the acting and interim head coach for Stanford football in 2025. Of course, Andrew Luck, Stanford great at the quarterback spot, now the new acting GM for the football program in Palo Alto a couple of weeks ago, making a tough decision as the GM for his beloved Cardinal, firing Troy Taylor after 2 years as the head coach for Stanford, as he was under investigation by the university for harassment in the workplace. So Andrew Luck dismisses Troy Taylor a few weeks ago, and Joe has named Frank Reich the interim head coach for the Stanford Cardinal in 2025. Both sides agreeing this is just a one-year rental, but Frank Reich, now the new head coach of Stanford.
Yeah, Stanford, loves doing this in terms of just playing in mediocrity for college football. Are they going to be back to the heyday when David Shaw took over for Jim Harbaugh? Probably not. They're just right a middle-of-the-road program right now, looking to get back on track, and you hire a former NFL head coach that couldn't turn around the Indianapolis Colts, and couldn't turn around, his days basically with Carolina with Bryce Young. So now he gets another opportunity with the Stanford Cardinal. Can they elevate to where Troy Taylor had that program last year? They were a little bit more competitive with Taylor at the helm, right? They were starting to build an offensive identity for the most part. We'll see. I mean, with NIL and with all the transfer portal, and knowing that Stanford now is part of the ACC and what they're up against, the likes now of Clemson and Miami and SMU that made it to the championship game, expecting this team to be potentially over 500 or an 8 or a 9 win football team is out of the realm of possibility. Can you stop the bleeding? That is the main hope for Frank Reich. I doubt it, but I guess only time will tell, Ben.
Stanford has not won more than 4 games, Joe, since the 2018 college football season, when they won 9 games under David Shaw in the final 4 years of the David Shaw tenure up in Palo Alto. Again, at most 4 games. They did go 4-2 in 2020. Of course, that is an above 500 record. Just 3-9 in each of the previous 2 seasons under Troy Taylor, who came over from Sacramento State, where he had made an offensive juggernaut at the FCS level. Of course, for Andrew Luck, Joe, during his days in Palo Alto under Jim Harbaugh and then with David Shaw, they were incredibly successful. He had won 12-1 when he was in 2010, 11-2 in 2011. They were a really solid football team. That is what Andrew Luck knows during his time as a player for Stanford, trying to bring that back now as the GM. So he brings in a guy he is very comfortable with in Frank Reich. Andrew Luck's final full year in the National Football League, 2018, was Reich's first year in Indianapolis, and a successful one, Joe, at that. They went 10-6 that season, making the postseason as well. So Andrew Luck working under Frank Reich, now technically his boss, based on how the system is working with Stanford. Frank Reich, who has been an NFL head coach for 6 total seasons, although he did not complete each of his last 2, has never worked collegiately at any single level as a coach. He now will be the new head coach for Stanford, at least for this year, as the Cardinal undergo a nationwide search. But of course, making this move this late into the offseason, Joe, to dismiss Troy Taylor, there were only so many limited options. I find it fascinating, right? You have the partnership of Frank Reich and Andrew Luck, at least trying to return Stanford to a stable base now in the ACC. We'll see how it plays out in 2025.
Yeah, it's tough because, again, it's not like, okay, Stanford, great institution academically, right? Student athletes, and you go there to really elevate and be that model student athlete. But that's not the case surrounding college athletics anymore. When you talk about scholarship talent, you want to go to a school and an organization that you can compete potentially for the 12-team playoff, get money as it relates to NIL, and really elevate your game to be potentially an NFL draft pick. And Frank Reich hasn't proved anything on the college level. It's different than Bill Belichick, a 6-time Super Bowl champ, right? That's the difference. If we're talking Belichick and we're talking Frank Reich, even though Belichick didn't step up in his last couple of seasons in New England, has 6 Super Bowl rings. Frank Reich, more of a player, right, than he is as a head coach at this point. And you talk about the development. What's going to be the mindset to go up against and challenge the likes of Miami and Florida State and Clemson to get these athletes to come to your program when you're under 500 and basically a fish out of the water in the ACC? That's the problem.
Yeah, I'm not sure Stanford, even with Troy Taylor, had things been settled and figured out there from a positive perspective, would have had much of a different outlook for this ACC season. But a 3.5 win total is what Stanford has entering 2025, and the under has the juice. So, Joe, expecting another 3-9 season at best for the Stanford Cardinal this year. I do think Frank Reich is a great coach. I think he got a raw deal in Indianapolis. He was 40-33 with 3 winning seasons in his first 4 years at the helm. But he was fired after a 3-5-1 start after Week 9 in 2022. Became the Panthers head coach for 2023 after a 1-10 start with Bryce Young 2 years ago. He was dismissed after Week 12. It has not been a great run for Frank Reich as a head coach in the National Football League as of late. I'm fascinated to see what they can do together at Stanford, if they can at least calm the waters. Because, Joe, Andrew Luck's first year as Stanford starting quarterback, 2009, they won 8 games. It was kind of that reinvigoration of Stanford football under Jim Harbaugh. For the next decade, including 2009, the next 10 years, Stanford won at least 8 games. And now, as we have shared, they have not won more than 4 games in the last 6 seasons. Plenty more to come on Football Full Circle. That's up next.
4 out of 5 scientists agree it's smarter to be on SportsGrid. And we're pretty sure that one scientist is still a virgin.
He just gives that vibe.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Prevnar. U.S. immigration officials are asking the public and federal agencies to comment on a proposal to collect social media handles from people applying for benefits such as green cards or citizenship. Social media monitoring by immigration officials has been a practice for over a decade, since at least the second Obama administration, and ramping up under Trump's first term. Officials are seeking to, quote, strengthen fraud detection, prevent identity theft, and support the enforcement of rigorous screening and vetting measures to the fullest extent possible. Andrew Tate, a social media influencer known for expressing misogynistic views online, is facing a new lawsuit filed by his ex-girlfriend accusing him of sexual assault and battery. It adds to existing legal trouble for Tate, who's charged with human trafficking and forming a criminal gang to sexually exploit women in Romania. His brother Tristan Tate is also accused in that case. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Spring forward with real unlimited data from Straight Talk this tax season and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. So you can stream games during Mad March hours, check the weather for April showers, and watch gardening videos about May flowers. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. Offer valid through 4/15/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires purchase of single line gold unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com.
When you switch to Progressive and bundle your home and auto, you could save hundreds, and that's a surprising amount of money.
Whoa, that's like farmer's market money.
That's like give me a gallon of that locally sourced raw honey money.
That's certified organic heirloom tomatoes in every imaginable color except red money.
That's let's get 2 pounds of pink oyster mushrooms money. I'm not even sure I like pink oyster mushrooms.
Guess it's time to find out, because you could save hundreds when you switch to Progressive and bundle. Then the world is your pink oyster mushroom. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
There's something you should know and always remember.
SportsGrid does not increase luck.
We're your unfair advantage for the latest sports gaming information. If you're looking for luck,
go find a horseshoe.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, it is FFC, a 3.5 win total for Stanford in their second year in the ACC, but now under new guidance. Frank Reich is the interim head coach for Stanford in 2025, under, of course, that GM in Palo Alto, that is Andrew Luck. They have, of course, common ties dating back to Luck's final year in the National Football League in 2018, playing under Frank Reich, his first year as the head coach in Indianapolis. Now they will try to start the turnaround of Stanford collegiately, a Cardinal team that has won at most 4 games in each of the last 6 seasons. Prior to that, they had won 8 games at bare minimum, 10 consecutive years. Of course, Joe, the outlook not great. 3.5 wins for Stanford. The under has the juice. But it is an interesting sign of the times. Here's an ACC football game come November 5th. That's Saturday, later in the college football regular season. In Chapel Hill, it is Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels taking on Frank Reich and the Stanford Cardinal in an ACC football game. Frank Reich, Bill Belichick, North Carolina, Stanford, ACC football.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be, from a rating standpoint, probably one of the most watched games potentially for the Cardinals all year. Why? Because you have Belichick, you have Frank Reich, and they've dueled, throughout the NFL as head coaches. And now you have an opportunity to do it with your college programs. And you look at Belichick as a whole, more eyes on that program right now. Can he elevate it past where Matt Brown got that program over the past couple of seasons with pretty good above average quarterback talent, right? That is the main concern, and we'll see. But again, we're seeing a change. A lot of these head coaches, from an NFL perspective, trying their hand at the college ranks. And it is intriguing that even though, yes, it's a one year type of stopgap coach, they are so out of the realm of the current landscape. If Nick Saban and some of the older coaches, even Jay Wright, on the basketball side, got out of the game because of NIL and the transfer portal, and they struggle with it, and they were in it from the get-go. What do you think is going to happen with both of these coaches with the younger athletes? That is really what I want to assess, even though it's a one-year situation with Frank Reich. How does he handle that type of situation with 18 and 19-year-olds never coaching in college?
He is a rental, Joe, and that will be an interesting thing, right? He has the football acumen and experience, but he's never done it collegiately. He's never been an assistant. He's never been a grad assistant. He's never been a quality control coach. None of that in the collegiate level. Got coaching in the NFL from a very early age and has really only been in the National Football League. What's interesting, though, is Andrew Luck, right? A very smart guy at a very smart university. And you mentioned it. Playing there just for the sake of playing football and getting a great college degree is not what wins the day in today's climate of college football. Stanford has to be competitive in the NIL landscape, now in the ACC, and of course where things stand around collegiate sports. That is why you have GMs. We are starting to see that, of course, become the popular thing, the main thing, the normal thing in collegiate sports in those high-earning revenue sports, football, men's basketball, women's basketball as well. Not just a lead recruiter, but a true GM to deal with the transfer portal, NIL payments, still, of course, recruiting at the high school level as well. That's really where Andrew Luck needs to be on the forefront, not so much the head coach, in this case, Frank Reich.
Yeah, but think about this. Okay, so if Reich, let's say, and the win total is 3.5, let's say all of a sudden they go 2-10 in the regular season, right? Okay, that's what you would expect. But if you're a transfer guy or you're an athlete that was thinking coming out of college, coming out of high school to potentially go to Stanford outside the education, what is the lure? Because you don't even know who the head coach is going to be next year.
For sure.
Right? So you're already 2 years back from the recruiting aspect of making any type of headway in the conference, right? When we know that SMU basically is already ahead of the curve, making it to the championship game in year number 1 in the conference. What do you do? Okay, Andrew Luck's a smart guy, but you need to have a plan in place. You need to have a plan in place now saying, okay, my plan for next year is I'm going to get A, B, and C for a head coach. Because what's the sell for a high school senior wanting to go to Stanford? It's great to have a GM, but if you don't have a plan, then there's no. I'm not going to waste my time going on a visit when they don't even know what they're doing next year. And if Frank Reich does overexceed expectations, then are you keeping him? So that's the other problem that you have.
It's a great point, Joe, right? A one-year rental as of right now for Stanford and Frank Reich as they undergo that search. They needed somebody in there at this time because of the late dismissal of Troy Taylor, which, of course, was warranted from the university investigation of harassment in the workplace. But because of the extenuating circumstances and the logistical timeline of it, now you need to have a coach for the future. Could that be Frank Reich? As of right now, both Stanford and Reich saying no. If he does win 6 games and get Stanford somehow to a bowl game this year, would he be brought back? Is he the future in Palo Alto? We shall see. We're not expecting much. That win total at 3.5. But it is a really interesting dynamic as well, Joe, that Andrew Luck was the guy to make that decision, right? The university was investigating Troy Taylor into their own thing. The GM in this case, who technically is the boss of the program, but Joe, there's no more boss of big-time college football programs and really university leadership than that of the head football coach. Nobody's telling Kirby Smart what to do. Nobody is telling Dabo Swinney what to do. Nobody's telling Dan Lanning what to do in that GM role. That GM really reports to the head coach. It almost seems as if that power shift has changed for Stanford.
Yeah, well, Stanford and the Lucks are looked at almost like the Mannings, right? Oliver Luck had, an oversight type of role in a multitude of programs, even the expansion, NFL leagues and everything else. So that's how they're viewed by multiple people within the NFL. So again, maybe it's Luck's. Andrew Luck will say, "I'll be the head coach next year." Maybe that is the plan. You never know.
You have no idea. We'll talk about the NFL. We'll talk about the league meeting in West Palm. And Lisi will give some restaurant recommendations for the Sunshine State. That's next here on FFC.
There's smart and there's not smart. Not smart is hope as a strategy. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Keep it here and win. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
And Ali, who has done virtually nothing all afternoon.
1973, Muhammad Ali suffers a broken jaw in a shocking split decision loss to Ken Norton in 12 rounds.
7 points, Norton, 5 points, Ali. There it is. There it is. One of the greatest upsets again in boxing history.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Winter's over, spring is here, and baseball is back! Spring training this year, 19 MLB teams are replacing...
Ball 4, take your base.
With... high-speed camera algorithmic robot umpires used in professional tennis challenges for years.
You cannot be serious!
Tested in minor league baseball without much controversy other than tuning the strike zone. Just testing for now, but maybe next season we'll find out if tradition in baseball gets to meet the 21st century. Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to The Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this. Play ball.
Carver and Lisi.
By the way, great intro song, Matthias. I like that. That's going to be the new intro on Wednesdays with Carver and sometimes Lisi. Hey, look at this. I'm in the credits tonight. I made it to the big time. Look at this.
We had a discussion about this last night.
I was watching. I got a lot of things going on, Joe. Got a lot of things going on.
I don't understand what you're upset about. You're not on the show that night.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. On the SportsGrid Radio Network. Wherever you go,
there you are.
Download the SportsGrid mobile app and we'll be right there with you.
So now you can get the winning edge
anywhere. Even while the wife's talking to you.
If you got an earbud.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle. It is FFC. League meetings happening as we speak in the National Football League in West Palm Beach, Florida. All the coaches, GMs, front office execs get together. They have some good times. They put on their greatest Hawaiian shirt or fanciest polo. They take some pictures and they have some discussions. They will meet with the media. Maybe some of the first times we are hearing from coaches since the end of the NFL season, if they were not in Indianapolis at the scouting combine. And Joe, it's also a time for the competition committee to come together and maybe vote on some proposed rule changes. That includes, of course, now the infamous tush push brought together by the Green Bay Packers, a ban in place of that tush push. And Joe, Green Bay was the one to front this proposed rule change, but of course it needs some backing based on some reports to ESPN. The Packers' proposed ban of the push sneak, popularly known as the tush push, has some support within the competition committee. Another source with direct knowledge, though, saying it will be, quote, hotly contested to see if this proposed rule change does become a past rule change. Lisa, it did sound like at the start of the show you think the idea of the tush push being banned is asinine. How come?
It's just part of football. And again, because Philadelphia designed it and the other teams have a problem of stopping it, now we want to ban it. I mean, it's just do it. Like, here's the problem. What if it's such an issue? What's the issue? That you can't stop it? What's the issue? That the Eagles get basically every fourth down and that's why you can't beat them? I mean, for Green Bay to say that, they got their asses kicked in the divisional round, not because of the tush push, but because their offensive and defensive lines got manhandled at the point of attack. Let's call it what it is. It's unbelievable that professional teams are crying over this. They cry because they can't stop it. Why don't you like mimic it, especially on the offensive side of the ball? I don't understand what the hard part is. We have guys 6'5", 6'6", like Josh Allen, Jordan Love, like 6'3". You're telling me that we can't emulate what Philadelphia is doing in terms of the tush push? They're just not good at it, so they want to ban it to not give the defending Super Bowl champs another option to make an NFC championship run. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's the game of football. We're not playing flag football. We're not playing 7-on-7. We're not in high school or pee-wees. This is the NFL. Elite athletes. Stop it. That's the bottom line. I don't understand what the problem is. To make it an injury issue is a complete joke.
And Joe, there's been a lot of teams to try to replicate the tush push, as well as Philadelphia has done it, the brotherly shove, if you will. It really works for Philly because they have had two gargantuan centers in Jason Kelce and now Cam Jurgens, and they have a quarterback in Jalen Hurts who is not just athletic and mobile, but incredibly strong as well. Hurts can squat over 600 pounds. That is why he can continue to drive. We saw the Bills try to do it with success against the Chiefs. It wasn't necessarily the same looking play, and it did not work as well against KC. It is really only Philly that does it successfully, where it has such a successful hit rate. Not many other teams have been able to replicate the success of what we have seen. But Joe, at a meeting on Sunday afternoon, league officials were able to present that rule change. And again, two sources in the meeting described the back and forth as, quote, heated regarding the proposal to prohibit an offensive player from pushing a teammate who was lined up directly behind the snapper and receives the snap immediately at the snap. We have seen some teams try to use a tight end, a bigger body, to run said tush push. I ultimately do not believe it will get the votes necessary to be passed, that the ban of the tush push will be successful. I only think it will be a rule proposal and not a successful rule change. And Joe, much to what you are saying here, it's not like 27 teams are doing it. They're going down the length of the field every possession and having success that it doesn't even look like the game of football anymore. To me, it's football, and it's really just the Eagles. And it's not the reason the Eagles won a Super Bowl. It's just one of the components that makes the Eagles successful based on their own personnel.
Yeah, like they want to take something away to hinder their offense to potentially maybe have an edge, right? That's really all it comes down to. And again, you mentioned Jalen Hurts being 600-pound squat. Why don't the quarterbacks get into the weight room and try to emulate that? It's just ridiculous. It's a complete joke. The NFL is turning into a joke, and that's where we're at in 2025.
We'll talk more about this proposed rule change and some other news from the league meetings in West Palm. Up next.
The winning edge.
You've got it.
But not everybody has it, because not everybody listens to us.
But we're working on that.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Men's hoops on Sunday. Top seed Houston beat second seed Tennessee in the Midwest region to advance to the Final Four. 69-50 was the final. In the South region, top seed Auburn advanced past second seed Michigan State 70-64. Sunday's results follow up the two Saturday games out of the West region. Top seed Florida beat third seed Texas Tech 84-79. Top seed Duke beat second seed Alabama 85-65 out of the East region. Final Four action starts this Saturday. The host site, San Antonio, Texas. Auburn battles Florida. Houston will square off with Duke. South Carolina women's basketball headed to their fifth straight Final Four. They beat Duke 54-50 on Sunday. UCLA 72-65 winners over LSU. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive.
That's the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
At Skechers, we put the S in comfort.
Wait. Skechers put the S in comfort?
Yes, comfort you have to feel to believe. Skechers, we put the S in comfort.
Let me try. Okay, I'm just stepping in and... Oh, wow. Skechers put the S in comfort.
Duh, we told you.
Find Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
You're listening to Sports Grid.
Spreading the winning edge far and wide.
Terrestrial, internet, TV, satellite, and don't forget our mobile app.
Face it.
The winning edge is everywhere.
Somewhere there's a squirrel frustrated he can't get a phone.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Will the tush push still be a legal play come the 2025 NFL season? That is the debate here on FFC. That is the debate right now in West Palm Beach, Florida at the annual league meetings. Lisi guy, the rule was proposed, or the proposed rule change to ban the tush push was proposed by the Green Bay Packers. Now, Packers head coach Matt LaFleur declined to comment on it publicly when approached on Sunday after league officials introduced this to the competition committee. GM Brian Gutekunst also declined a question from ESPN on Sunday saying, quote, I'll leave that for someone else to talk about. As you said, part of the reason this is being discussed as a proposed rule change is not just the play itself, but the injury risk it can cause. Now, there was actual data behind kickoffs and how dangerous that play had become. Part of the reason we see the dynamic kickoff rule now in the NFL, also to bring back that component of special teams in a football game, but also out of health and safety. The league presented the injury risk of the push sneak based on data modeling, saying defensive players are at risk while launching head first, and offensive linemen at risk because of their bent posture operating in a narrow window, which would lead to neck injuries. But as one source in that meeting said, a club executive, quote, it's not backed by data, it's just subjective, which is really what it seems to be. There has not been this overwhelming documentation of season-ending or significant injuries from the tush push. This is really just looking at the Eagles having success in orchestrating that play and wanting it to no longer be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're telling me they don't lunge on a regular play, on a rushing play, on 1st and 10 from the 30. Right. I mean, this is complete, BS as far as I'm concerned. At the end of the day, they're at a very close proximity, so the hit isn't as dynamic as it is when you're taking, basically a 1.5 foot or a 2 front, momentum type of push from the defense or offensive lineman. I mean, that's guaranteed. When they're hitting helmet to helmet that way, it's more, I believe, impactful than if they're at a short distance and making contact. It is what it is. We talk about this, they're not concerned then on field goal attempts because they're doing the exact same thing, right? On a field goal or a punt where they're at close proximity. I mean, it's an absolute joke, Ben. It really is. At the end of the day, they're going to try to do anything to give themselves an edge. AFC and NFC teams will lobby against this when they see a team very successful at a certain type of play that they can't stop or they can't mimic. And that's the bottom line with the NFL. They'd rather outlaw it as opposed to putting up parameters or trying to defend or come up with a defense against it. And that's where we're at right now. And then, honestly, to hear professional teams argue this point over a quarterback sneak that has been in the game for eons and it's just changed a little bit is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it really is, Joe. And just because one team, the Eagles namely, have the edge, doesn't mean that it is a play that should be banned from football or is against the beauty of the sport. You've got an issue with it, stop it. That's what I think it ultimately will come down to. Joe, elsewhere around the league meetings, it's not just about proposed rule changes. It's hearing from some head coaches that we haven't in some time. Mike Tomlin, of course, at these league meetings, head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, entering year number 19, was asked about the quarterback carousel the Steelers have seen this offseason. Not exactly naming any individuals by specific name, but of course, with some speculation still around Aaron Rodgers, here is what Tomlin had to say. Quote, "We're still evaluating the acquisition of a guy at the position, whether it's free agency and or the draft. And so we're doing our due diligence, communicating with some free agents, also preparing for the draft." Again, he didn't name Aaron Rodgers, singling him out, but we kind of have an understanding of what that is. There doesn't seem to be a specific timeline, Joe, for when/if Aaron Rodgers could become a Pittsburgh Steeler or not.
Yeah, and this is more on Mike Tomlin and the organization than it is Aaron Rodgers, okay? Because Aaron Rodgers is going to do him, right? He's going to take time. He's going to, throw around the football with DK Metcalf. He wants all eyes on him. But if you're the Steelers, you're allowing this to happen, right? I would come right out and say, if you gave him a deadline, they should have given him a deadline. They didn't. But if you're Mike Tomlin and have no desire to have Aaron Rodgers, just come right out and say, you know what? The club is no longer interested in Aaron Rodgers. We thought he would be our quarterback for 2025. Time has passed. He's had more than enough time, and now we're moving on, right? That would end the Aaron Rodgers circus. But these teams, they're so desperate because they didn't have a plan. They're so desperate to buy into this 40-year-old, has been at this point in his career that they allow him to run the show. And forget it. This is strictly on the football field. We're talking about what Aaron Rodgers does in locker room situations, what Aaron Rodgers does when he's the face of the organization, what Aaron Rodgers does in not lifting up teammates and making those players around him better. Because he didn't do it in Green Bay when he had a young wide receiver core, and he could have taken the time like he's doing with DK Metcalf now and thrown in the offseason with the young wide receivers to get them up to speed. Instead, he complained about it and wanted out of Green Bay. Then he comes to New York. He has a potential star in the making in Garrett Wilson, and he decides to take, a sabbatical and miss, mandatory OTAs to do his own thing. And now the Steelers are allowing him to do the same exact thing 3 and 4 years later. When is enough enough? These teams need to wake up and say, you know what? It's not going to happen anymore. You're going to do it, and you're going to bring down another team. You're not going to bring down ours. And I'm shocked that Mike Tomlin is allowing this to happen at this point in his career.
It would seem like something Mike Tomlin wants no part of, right? Has no time or business for, based on how Mike Tomlin operates. And yet, it is almost the reality of what Pittsburgh has said. Mike Tomlin did go on to say, we are very pleased with the quarterback room we are constructing and having Mason Rudolph back.
Crazy.
But that really is what it is. And then again, Joe, Mason Rudolph started a playoff game for Pittsburgh 2 seasons ago. They have had success even with questionable quarterback play the last 4 or 5 years. They have made the postseason 4 of the previous 5 years, including the end of the Big Ben era in the final 2 years of his NFL career, a playoff team, when he wasn't playing all that well at the quarterback spot or looking all that efficient. Really, it's a limited option. It's supply and demand, where Aaron Rodgers is the only guy out there at a starting quarterback level right now in the National Football League. That's really what it comes down to. Mason Rudolph could start and has started. There are QBs on the market that have started games. Aaron Rodgers is slightly different in his own way. But to your point, Joe, this is not 31-year-old Aaron Rodgers. This is 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. This is not Aaron Rodgers of back-to-back MVP seasons. This is Aaron Rodgers, even when fully healthy, off the two of his worst, or at least the two worst or two of his worst seasons in his 20-year NFL career. Again, not a guy that moves the needle. Surprise Pittsburgh is dealing with it. Let's ultimately say, though, Joe, that Aaron Rodgers is not the answer in the Steel City, although it does seem like there is writing on the wall. Let's say it is Mason Rudolph. The Steelers have the 21st overall pick. Do you think they could look at a quarterback in that spot?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Jackson Dart now, people have been talking about Milroe. I mean, Jalen Milroe might be 2 or 3 years down the road from being that guy. I mean, if you're going to potentially bank on Jalen Milroe resurrecting the Steelers organization in year one, it's a bad assessment. And it's not a knock on Milroe. He's just so raw that he needs to develop, right? He needs to have maybe a year or two to understand the NFL game, and then they might be ready. But the Steelers are built to win now. You know, is it Dart? They're not. I mean, Jackson Dart has high highs and low lows, and that's not the team ready for them right now. They need to make a veteran move, and they haven't done it.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that on the other side of the break, and hearing from some coaches today in West Palm about the tush push. Next.
We're not saying every SportsGrid listener is a legend, but you might start thinking about who's going to play you in the movie.
Just saying.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Sky Rizzi. Andrew Tate, a social media influencer known for expressing misogynistic views online, is facing a new lawsuit filed by his ex-girlfriend accusing him of sexual assault and battery. It adds to existing legal trouble for Tate, who's charged with human trafficking and forming a criminal gang to sexually exploit women in Romania. His brother Tristan Tate is also accused in that case. U.S. immigration officials are asking the public and federal agencies to comment on a proposal to collect social media handles from people applying for benefits such as green cards or citizenship. Social media monitoring by immigration officials has been a practice for over a decade, since at least the second Obama administration, and ramping up under Trump's first term. Officials are seeking to, quote, strengthen fraud detection, prevent identity theft, and support the enforcement of rigorous screening and vetting measures to the fullest extent possible. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Are you a small business owner who needs immediate cash flow? At Swish Funding, we have flexible funding options from $25,000 to $2 million. For the best rates and terms for your business, just one application to Swish Funding gives you access to our entire network of funders, with cash in your account in as little as 24 hours. To qualify, you must be in business for at least 1 year with monthly revenue of $50,000. Apply at swishradio.com and use code RADIO. Swishradio.com, code RADIO.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. GI Bill, SkillBridge, and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
Ask any player and they'll tell you any advantage is important.
That's where we come in.
SportsGrid delivers gaming strategies and analysis 7 days a week.
The winning edge.
It's your advantage to more winning
more often.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle. It is FFC. He is Joe Lisi. I am Ben Stevens. The Pittsburgh Steelers draft 21st overall at a 5-to-1 price, third best number for the first position the Steelers draft in the 2025 NFL draft at the end of next month. But tomorrow begins April. That will be April 24th, opening round in Green Bay, Wisconsin, is that quarterback. Again, at a 5-1 price. Lacey, there is a thought that maybe, just maybe, Shedeur Sanders could be on a slide throughout the first round and maybe find his way to Pittsburgh, either later in the opening round, or the Steelers might be able to move up a few spots to get Shedeur Sanders. If it is not Shedeur Sanders, might Pittsburgh reach for a quarterback? Tyler Shuck, Jackson Dart, that remains to be seen. But there is no doubt, Joe, the Steelers need some sort of plan in place that is not just quarterback for a year, quarterback for a year, quarterback for a year, if they're ever really going to match that ceiling of being an AFC championship contender again.
Yeah, I agree. And again, if they make a move for Shedeur, then I have no problem with it. But they really have to give up a lot to potentially move up that much. What are they going to give up? One of the acquisitions that they already took, DK Metcalf or George Pickens? What else do they have right now? From an offensive perspective, it's not like you're going to give up Jaylen Warren and that's going to move the needle. Maybe Najee Harris if he was still there, but he's on the Chargers now. So Who are you going to give up? Potentially, all right, draft capital next year and in years past. Okay, that's possible. But again, Ben, like I go back to the fact that they messed up when they took Kenny Pickett. Once you realize that he wasn't the starter, you needed to have a backup plan. And I'm not suggesting not going with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, but to not have any plan in place in 2025. You knew that Russell Wilson wasn't the guy at the end of the regular season. You made an acquisition for Justin Fields. He was 4-2 as a starter. Why did you make that move if you didn't believe in Justin Fields to be the leader of your team? It just seems like there's not continuity between either the GM or the head coach or vice versa, because you can't tell me you make these moves and then you're back to square one again a year later. Like, it just makes no sense. Like they're stuck in neutral. And that is the problem with the Pittsburgh Steelers, that even now the fan base is recognizing, okay, we know we could be a 9-8 football team, basically with Mason Rudolph and whoever's under center. But are you going to elevate ever to challenging for an AFC championship? No, not at this in terms of game plan. And when you look at what's in the conference, and not only the conference, but when you look at what's in your division, outside of Cleveland, you have no elite quarterback. You're not going to challenge Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson with the team that you have offensively right now. You have two great wide receivers. You have nobody to get them the football. Your rushing attack is good at times. It's not elite. And oh, by the way, this isn't the defense when Bill Cowher and Tomlin were there when they won Super Bowls. This is a defense that's good. It's not elite, though, to carry them to 13 wins and to just shut down Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen should they meet in a championship game. Not going to happen. So they need a better plan, and they have no vision for the future right now.
That's really what it seems like at this moment, being held hostage by Aaron Rodgers. If even that acquisition happens, does it do anything to take the Pittsburgh Steelers from a winning football team and a potential playoff wild card to a true conference contender? With where Aaron Rodgers is at this stage of his career, more than likely not. And Joe, I think that is the very interesting component for the Steelers. 18 years under Mike Tomlin, never a losing record, never fewer than 8 wins. They've even made the playoffs for the last 5 years without much in terms of successful quarterback play. But Steelers fans are almost getting a little tired of that type of success, which might sound fleeting to another organization, but for this fan base, very, very different. Last Lombardi Trophy for Pittsburgh, 2008. Last Super Bowl appearance, 2010. Last AFC Championship game appearance, 2016. Last time they won a playoff game, 2017. It's been a long time since the Steelers did anything of note once they actually reach the postseason. And that's where I think things are wearing thin, and namely you can point to the quarterback spot. Joe, you and I discussed the potential proposed change to the tush push. Let's not just hear from you and me. Let's hear from 2 head coaches. We heard that it was a little bit heated in the room yesterday in this meeting. Some good, some in favor, some bad, some against it. Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans earlier today when asked about the proposed ban of the tush push said, quote, "It's tough to punish a team for being really good at something." Thus, D'Amico Ryan's kind of against that proposal. Sean McDermott, a few hours ago, head coach of the Buffalo Bills, is advocating for the tush push to be banned, citing the, quote, "added force of the play" and, quote, "the posture of the players," end quote. Some of those safety concerns, if you will, if there are even true safety concerns backed by data at this point. So, Joe, that kind of goes to point out what we are seeing here. Some coaches in favor of the proposal to ban the tush push, other coaches against it. It does seem Sean McDermott is hoping the tush push is banned.
Yeah, and D'Amico Ryan's a former player, gets it, right? You know, Sean McDermott basically is a clown. He's got a 6'6" quarterback, and he can't run a quarterback sneak with his own guy, and he wants a successful quarterback sneak, you know, taken out of the game. And that's what it comes down to. You know, guys like Sean McDermott, you know, they're so passionate about the tush push, yet why don't you just game plan about how to beat the Kansas City Chiefs when it matters in a playoff spot? You know, get real. Like, again, these coaches that lobby for something that you might not ever play the Eagles because you can't win a Super Bowl or get to an AFC championship and win it. How about that? Yeah. So don't worry about the tush push with the Eagles. You should be worrying about how to elevate your team right now. I mean, give me a break. The bottom line is teams that can't stop it will be against it, and other teams that, you know, maybe have dominant defenses, they'll be in support of it because they know it's part of the game.
It was one of the issues for Josh Allen and Buffalo in that AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, almost hoping to run the tush push, but not doing it like the tush push should actually be run, and thus getting stuffed even if there were some questionable calls in that football game. Plenty more on FFC comes your way up next.
Luck is winning the lottery. Strategy is settling your divorce before cashing in the ticket. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and Sirius XM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Morency on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Imagine combining the exciting investment opportunity of cryptocurrencies with the power of artificial intelligence to maximize your IRA, 401k, or other investment funds. Listen, if you're looking for ways to accelerate your retirement growth, Block Trust IRA has market-leading strategies and solutions for all levels of investors, from $1,000 to millions. And they partner with Bitcoin Magazine's #1 crypto trading fund in the world to maximize your returns. Plus, their team of IRA specialists is here to help you roll over your IRA or qualified retirement account to the new world of cryptocurrency investments. So make this free call right now to set up your account and learn more.
800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. That's 800-434-5313.
Think of us as your cool roommate that has this innate gift of somehow always picking winners and never bugs you about doing the dishes or paying rent. Sports gaming strategies and information 24/7. Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle. It is FFC. He is Joe Lisi. I am Ben Stevens. Lisi guy outside of what we are seeing this week at league meetings. Tomorrow is April, right? Which means it's the month of the 2025 NFL Draft. On Thursday, April 3rd, we're exactly 3 weeks away from the beginning in the opening round, that first night of the NFL Draft on Thursday, April 24th, live from Titletown, USA. That is Green Bay, Wisconsin. And here we are once again, Lisi, where all 32 NFL clubs have their originally scheduled first-round pick and still maintain that draft selection. We have not seen a trade in terms of the draft order. We have not seen a team move up, move down. We have not seen any of these valuable first-round picks dealt as a part of a larger trade deal for any current NFL player. It is astounding, frankly, Lisi, to look up and down the NFL, all 32 franchises, and everybody still has their first-round pick well into the new league year, and now only about 3.5 weeks away from the start of the first round.
Yeah, but again, 2 weeks, 10 days, the last week leading up to that Thursday night, I bet you we'll see some movement, right?
Yeah.
The situation with Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins still unclear, and I think teams maybe will give an ultimatum as we inch closer to the NFL Draft, right? Because at that point, if you're the Steelers or let's just say Vikings or some of these other teams that are still looking potentially, to add on a quarterback, the Browns as well, you need to know what the situation is that Thursday night. If you're still unclear, how could you basically make any type of trade offer if it comes to you and say, okay, that's great for our organization if we don't have the others, locked up and secured, right? Knowing, all right, Rodgers isn't coming. We need to make a play for a quarterback. What's the best way that gets us there? So, I really expect by April 15th, April 17th, you're going to start to see teams like, you know what, I'm going to be the first to pull the trigger because, you can't just sit and wait. If you're a team, let's say 15 to 32, and you're really in desperate need of a certain position, even if it's outside a quarterback, you might pull the trigger. We talk about it's a deep running back class. Does potentially some of these teams go up the ladder to get Ashton Genty? You don't know what transpires. I'm just saying, I think though with about a week and a half left, we're going to be sitting here on the show. There might be 1 or 2 trades under the belt, and all of a sudden that goes out the window.
I think those are some good points, Lisi Guy. We could see some maneuvers once we get closer to the draft if we do believe in a prospect or a positional need. But oftentimes early, if we are trading up and down the draft board, it's because somebody is hunting a quarterback. I think the lack of movement almost speaks to the lack of depth or success or top-name prospects in this quarterback draft class. Now, Cam Ward is a minus 1350 favorite to go number 1 overall. That's where the Titans are slotted to pick at this moment. It seems as though Cam Ward is on his way to Nashville. The odds came out for the number 2 overall pick last week. Abdul Carter becomes a stronger favorite at minus 300. The Browns are selecting 2nd overall. The odds are now out for the 3rd overall pick. Travis Hunter, a minus 150 favorite. Now, Shedeur Sanders has the 2nd best price for both going 2nd and 3rd overall. But Lisa Guy, as the Browns have kind of made some moves, at least to fill out the quarterback room with Kenny Pickett, and of course the Giants add Jameis Winston and then namely Russell Wilson, it seems as though both teams, at least based on speculation, are not all that interested in selecting a quarterback early in the 2025 NFL Draft. Based on the odds picture, it almost looks like it's starting to firm up, Joe, that we might just see one quarterback go in the top 3, and that would be 1st overall for Cam Ward.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Tennessee, you can't take, move on that selection, whether it be Cam or anybody else. You're pulling the trigger on one of those quarterbacks. You have to. For Tennessee, we talk about it. For Cleveland, you have Kenny Pickett. There's no offensive identity. You thought you got your quarterback a couple of years ago with Deshaun Watson. Didn't work out.
Yeah.
Now you really have to make an assessment. I believe they should take Shedeur because, again, 2 overall, at least you have an opportunity to maybe have upside. You take Abdul Carter, you're stuck in neutral again.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Joe, but I don't know if it's going to happen at this point. The Pittsburgh Steelers to use their first-round draft pick, 21st overall, on a quarterback, now a shorter number at plus 340. He is Joe Lisi. I am Ben Stevens. Football Full Circle returns tomorrow, noon Eastern time on SportsGrid Radio.
Now you've done it. You found the advantage for gaming, odds, and more. But we call it the winning edge for short. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.